On Saturday, February 1st, 2025, Mrs. Chikazor Ejezie, a nurse and lecturer at a school in Anambra State, Nigeria, left home to oversee a school examination. Before leaving that morning, she made sure to prepare her 3 children, 2 daughters and a son, for her absence throughout the day. As part of her usual routine, she served them breakfast and prepared their lunch, expecting them to eat around 1 p.m. Additionally, she assigned them house chores to complete before her return. However, upon returning home around 4 p.m., she was shocked to find the front door wide open and the house in disarray. Her children's slippers and sandals were still inside, suggesting they were home, but a thorough search of the house and repeated calls for them yielded no response. Initially, she wasn't too alarmed, as it was a Saturday, a day when they usually attend catechism class and choir practice at their Roman Catholic church. Before leaving for these activities, they typically lock the doors and place the key in a designated spot so she could retrieve it upon her return. Their home, enclosed within a fenced compound, was considered safe, with 2 medical neighbors who came home at different times. Assuming the children had gone out to play, Mrs. Chikazor remained calm. However, her concern grew when she stepped into the kitchen and found their lunch untouched, despite it being past 4 p.m. Wondering what could have been so engaging that they forgot to eat, she called her husband, Mr. Chikazor, who worked as a nurse in another state. She described the situation: the open door, the messy house, and the missing children. Though displeased by the state of the home, her husband initially suggested disciplining the children once they returned, unaware of the tragic event that had unfolded. Seeking information, Ms. Chikazor asked her neighbors if they had seen her children. One of them, Chukuma, a recent medical school graduate, mentioned that he last saw them when he gave them ice cream. Earlier that day, he had called Ms. Chikazor for permission to share the treat with the children, as she was not home, since the ice cream would melt if left for too long. She agreed, expecting to share a cake with them later. Chukuma also recalled that some of the children's friends had come looking for them, but after failing to find them, they assumed they had already left for catechism class. As dusk approached, Ms. Chikazor visited the church, expecting her children there. Upon arrival, she noticed other kids stacking chairs, signaling that the class has ended. After searching the premises and asking around, she found no trace of her children. Still hoping they might have gone elsewhere, she visited a nearby Catholic church, even though they had no reason to be there. Unfortunately, her search remained fruitless. Deeply worried, she checked with other neighbors, but no one had seen them. The medical students also extended their deep search to neighboring areas, yet the children remained missing. Throughout this ordeal, Mr. Ejezie kept calling for updates. After exhausting all possible locations, Mrs. Chikazor informed her husband that the children were still missing. He advised her to report the situation to the church officials, the parish priest, or even the police. Since the church was closest, she decided to go there first. Meeting Reverend Father Chukwu Bikem, she tearfully explained the distressing situation. The priest consoled her and offered to assist in the search. On their way back home, they encountered a neighbor who had searched another area without success. Recalling that her children's slippers and sandals were still inside, Ms. Chikazor suggested checking the house again. The neighbor arrived ahead of them and conducted a more thorough search. Eventually, he decided to open the deep freezer, which was unplugged due to power outage. To his horror, he found the lifeless bodies of the 3 children stuffed inside. Panicked, the neighbor ran out of the house and immediately called Mrs. Chikazor. As she was approaching with the priests, she answered the call. In an attempt to soften the devastating news, the neighbor cautiously asked if her children often engage in rough play. This momentarily gave her hope, leading her to ask if he had found them. However, sensing the gravity of the discovery, the priest pulled the neighbor aside to hear the details first. Upon learning what had been found, Father Chukwu became hurried into the house to confirm. As the grime really set in, people began entering and exiting the house, but Miss Chikazor was prevented from seeing what had happened. Meanwhile, her husband kept calling, but she had no concrete information to share, as she was still unaware of what was inside. Eventually, Mr. Ejezie requested to speak directly with Chukwuma. It was then that Chukwuma broke the devastating news. His 3 children had been found dead in the deep freezer inside their home. Earlier in the search, Ms. Chikazor had asked a shop assistant next door if she had seen the children. The year recalled seeing them returning home with 2 young boys. A short while later, she noticed the youngest daughter leaving to buy something, but didn't know what. When questioned about potential foreplay, Ms. Chikazor stated that she had not been allowed to inspect the bodies. However, she speculated that the older daughter might have been targeted and that the youngest daughter possibly walked in on the perpetrators, leading them to silence all 3 children to cover up their crime. Another theory suggested that the acts may have been a form of revenge against the family. However, in an interview, Mr. Ejezie dismissed the idea of having ongoing disputes with anyone, noting that any past conflicts had been resolved over a year ago. He went on to describe the personalities of his late children.
Even if we are quarreling with anybody, is it to revenge with children? No. Innocent children. I don't want to talk much on that, but I want to bring to notice the personality of the children they killed. They actually touched God's own pupil. Yes. My first daughter is a first-class pupil, first-class brain. If you ask of her in Edo State, Mother of Nation group of schools, they know her. If you take first from her, then you are looking for her trouble. Here at Nnewi, anytime they close from school, my house is a lesson center because of Ejezie Chikaima Deviana. Any mass, anybody cannot solve. My daughter will solve it. 10 years old. What they call her in her school is Krikri Star at Smart Brain. Chikaima, as a gifted child, at 4 years old, corrected me, her father, when we were still living at Edo State, Erua precisely. I went to brush my teeth at Sink Kitchen. My daughter told me, "Daddy, leave here, go to toilet sink." She put sense into me. She's very, very intelligent. My second daughter, Ejezie Chizuterem Dominica, I call her double faculty. She is intelligent, double with wisdom. My first daughter, I don't know where she's getting that wisdom. Even as her father, I cannot carry her on my lap. Once I carry her, she will greet me, "Daddy, good afternoon." She will jump down immediately. I noticed that she has started having that consciousness that she's a girl. My daughter, the last time I came to visit them, my wife gave me takeaway food. And there was a kind of dialogue. Am I going to use plastic spoon or iron spoon? Finally, my wife suggested I should use plastic spoon in case it gets lost. My daughter asked, my 8-year-old daughter asked, "How can Daddy use plastic spoon?" Immediately, I dropped that plastic spoon and collected iron spoon. If I talk of the last one is a potential evangelist. Because I was once a vocalist. At 4 years, my son, Ejezie Chinderem David, is the singer. If you hear him praising God, you will know that these people has actually tampered with God. I asked the state government for justice.
This tragedy is beyond heartbreaking. My deepest condolence goes to Mr. and Mrs. Ejezie, and I hope they find strength to cope with their unimaginable loss. As of the time this video was made, no suspect had been arrested in connection with this horrific crime. However, the Anambra state government is now involved, and hopefully the police will soon bring the perpetrators to justice. Share your thoughts on this case in the comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories like this. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe.